Well, I hope everybody recognises the donor. Put that aside for a moment. I've already cut the form out, and I thought I'd just record what I do next. Now, honestly, this is a bit of a pain in the neck because I've never done anything like this before, and I'm going to have to guess. I haven't really made a shoe for a very long time, so I'm very out of practice. This is probably not going to work. So the first one we'll make out of disposable material. Cutting all the pieces out like this from the form is not my favourite way of doing it because it's basically destructive. But for this one, because it's got some tricky things going on, I'm going to do it this way so that I can just add and subtract where I want to, where I need to. And of course I'm not entirely sure yet where and what I want to subtract. So it's going to be a case of making a rough prototype and then adjusting from that. When you actually examine the style lines in this design, they're actually relatively practical. They follow lines of stress in a rather logical way, which is a philosophy I subscribe to. Function defines form. But one of the things that this boot has is what we would call false sizing. So the inside of the shoe will fit whatever size last you make it on. But what they've done with the outside of the shoe is they've made it bigger for fashion. And I'm going to try and undo that a little bit. We'll just cut these bits out and then we'll generate patterns from these pieces. This particular part of the pattern, I'm going to have to use the plastic bits off the original shoe, and that's going to be tricky because the plastic bit's going to be longer and bigger than this actual cutout. So I don't expect this to look amazing the first time I do it. Hence the concept of prototyping. You prototype the heck out of it. We should get rid of all the lumps and bumps and smooth things out. So, what else? This thing. And of course I'm doing this one right now instead of the Nike pump because there's less 3D printing required for this particular one, and I'm still having delivery hassles. Well, I'm waiting for deliveries. Hopefully everything's all sorted, but yeah, I'm still not able to 3D print more lasts, which I really wanted to do. So I'm going to make this on the Steve last that I do have. Alright, so that's all the pieces. So the most important pieces that we've got to worry about is this mud flap. Mud flap? No, not the mud flap. The toe box. And they have this strange quarter piece that comes way down, which is going to require some interesting machining. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that yet. Okay, so grab a piece of fresh paper. And we'll just fold it here. How are we going to do this? So if we use the original as a reference, you'll see that the outside of the shoe has this lace enforcement. Piece here where the eyelet attaches, it's basically this bit, and then this bit goes in here. Now the fact that that's a little bit short is encouraging, because the biggest hassle, if you just do these sort of procedurally without any adjustments, then the first thing you're going to do is probably pull this over the top of the last, and you're going to mess it up. In short, getting this right and even is a pain in the neck. So this is where a bit of comprehension and the comprehension of the materials you're going to use are important. Most of the leathers that I've got are kangaroo. I've got a little bit of cow, but we're not going to use kangaroo for this, but let's presume that we use this as our main structure of the shoe. This stuff is about 1 millimeter thick. It's as loose, the actual crust is very loose. I don't know if you can see that, but when the crinkle, if you fold it up and the crinkles are very loose and they don't disappear, that means the crust of the leather's very loose compared to the substrate underneath. And it's not very good. And a skin will vary in its looseness. So here's a nice bit of this same skin, and it's a little tighter. You can see that the wrinkles are a lot better. But anyway, the key thing is stretch. Now this is a kangaroo. So its head was up here, which means the direction of this leather should be tight in this direction, and it should be loose in this direction, so we'll get a little bit more stretch. So if we stretch it along the stretch side, what I'm looking for is what this compliance feels like, and this is very rubbery. I can put my finger through it and you can see my fingernail impression through the leather. So this is very thin. It's going to toe last pretty well, actually, and for an internal structure it's going to be decent, and it's thin. And one of the things that Kangaroo's known for is its tensile strength. It's got loads and loads of tensile strength. Not sure how much more, but a little bit more than your average cow skin. So it's important to have that sort of mental picture in your brain of what sort of stretch you're dealing with, right? So when we look at these Reeboks, every piece has been backed with a stiffening piece, right? This is stiffening stick-on stuff which just stops that material stretching, and it's got a puffing piece, right? This is just a piece of lining with a foam backing, and that's glued on. A bit of an allowance for the stitch, and that's what's giving these Reeboks that really plush, spongy feel. It's literally full of sponge. Now, if you're a skatehead, you're gonna like this because they're big and they look floppy and stuff. But I'm a shoemaker, I don't like this. This is not good. We're gonna make this out of proper leather. We're gonna put proper leather heel count puffs, toe puffs, and heel counters in it. At least for the final version. But how are we going to start this? Great, where'd it go? Fall on the floor, fell on the floor. Right, so we've got these two pieces. And if we just sketch this out roughly. So obviously this shape is terrible. So we're going to have to do some jiggery pokery here, and I'm off the top of my head not exactly sure what. So that's what the literal pattern looks like. Now I'm drawing them both on here because I just want to have a look at what the net pattern looks like before, when I actually cut it. We're still going to cut it symmetrically, but you can see how there's this point here and this one's acute. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to round this off, and I'll put it away, of course, but you can see that the Reebok one is dead straight for the most part, and ours looks like a banana. So what we've got to do is the reverse of what we've just done there. We've got to take this shape and straighten it out. And I tell you what, you can practice this, you can practice this, you can practice this, but at the end of the day, you just got to sort of eyeball it and take points and slowly step around. Oops. And just keeps kicking it back. And you'll slowly start to distort this shape into a straighter sort of thing. Now this is going to distort like a absolute moron. And this is where we have to be clever. So our master's actually a little bit shorter than this, our reference piece, by about, I don't know, it doesn't matter really, by about a centimetre, half a centimetre. And the discrepancy between this one and this one, once we've straightened it out, is about the same. So we've maintained that by walking it that way. But of course, if you were to focus on the front, you'd get a different thing. So it depends on where you start and whatnot. And this is pretty straight. It's gonna come to about there. And that's probably straight enough. A little bit of curve is going to be good, but yeah, well, let's just try it and see where we get it. Again, it's probably just best to hack whatever the quickest and easiest solution is, and then fine tune it after the fact. But it does of course mean that you've got to cut an extra shoe, you've got to stitch an extra upper, and potentially waste extra materials. But you're always going to get a better job if you can iterate a little bit on your original prototypes. So that's not too bad. We've got a bit of a bump, but honestly we could probably just pretty much it. You got a good, clean, neat shape to follow, and we can just tack the inside bit on. So that bit, yeah. So that'll be one side, and then we'll do the other side. What it does need is a location marker. I just want to map exactly where these two pieces meet. And put a little prick in there. And that can be easily transferred over the other side if needed, but again, this is not the final pattern. This is just first draft. So we still have the problem of this the plug. What is going to be wrong with this plug, if we actually use it, is it's going to have this shape. And we want this shape. So it's really blunt and round. And the first thing we're going to notice is that my width is absolutely off by about a centimetre, which is actually not as much as I thought it would be. Yeah, it's off by about a centimetre. So tip to tip, which is this bit to this bit, that's about that long, so tip to tip. So yeah, a good solid centimetre out there. What about the length? Our length is bang on. Okay. So yeah, if we just I'm going to be relying on the fact that this is going to stretch to get an extra centimetre somewhere, which is not great. So if I just add the centimetre in, it's going to give us problems elsewhere, but I'm hoping that because there's so much internal structure, so much padding and whatnot, that it'll get gobbled up. So it's a bit of an educated guess. And we'll just line our bits up. Yeah, about there. Just cut that out before we put any allowances on and see what it actually looks like. Alright, I'm going to pause this for a moment.